What the Biden administration has just proposed could have negative consequences on gold and silver, as well as other very important minerals out there. I'll explain as we explore. Honestly, when I first saw this news, it didn't surprise me one bit of the overreach of this administration, as they are going to be recommending changes to a law that is 151 years old. Why? Well, because of a power grab. And the thing is we can't necessarily just blame the Biden administration, but it's about the culture that is the role of government and how they want to control everything. Biden is just the latest and sort of the amped up version of what we've been seeing coming for years now. So in a way, this does not surprise me. I'm going to be quoting a story from the AP that talks a little bit about what is being recommended with changes to a 151-year-old law. If you enjoy stories like this where I talk about the news with regards to precious metals, I hope you will consider subscribing to the channel and pressing that thumbs up button, and also to click the notification bell so that you can be apprised of the latest news in precious metals as it makes its way across your device. The Biden administration is recommending changes to a 151-year-old law that governs mining for copper, gold, and other hard rock minerals on U.S.-owned lands, including making companies for the first time pay royalties on what they extract. A plan led by the Interior Department also calls for the creation of a mine leasing system and coordination of permitting efforts among a range of federal agencies. This comes as the White House has been pushing to boost domestic mining for minerals needed for electric vehicles, solar panels, and other clean energy. Under terms of an 1872 law, the U.S. does not collect royalties on minerals extracted from federal lands. In fact, Democratic lawmakers and environmental groups have long lamented the White House plan would impose a variable 4 to 8% net royalty on hard rock minerals produced on federal lands. The proposal needs approval by Congress, unlikely when the House is controlled by Republicans who have long opposed such fees. But, when you think about it, the Republican majority is not as wide as many had hoped. So the table, it could swing in the other direction next term. You never know. Undeterred by such political reality, an interagency working group led by Interior touted the benefits of imposing royalties on about 750 hard rock mines on federal lands, mostly in the West. The figure does not include about 70 coal mines whose owners must pay federal royalties. A royalty would ensure that American taxpayers receive fair compensation for minerals extracted from federal lands, according to a working group in a report that they had published on this past Tuesday. Now, let that sink in for a moment, that they would receive fair compensation. Well, they're going to pay for it through royalties, because those royalties, which are essentially our taxes, will be passed along to you, the consumer. So any minerals, whether they're used for industry or for stacking, such as gold and silver, and yes, even some copper, that means that they will be increased in price, or they just won't mine there, which means that they will be more rare, and if they are more rare, then they are going to increase in price. So it really doesn't make sense that they're doing this, but none of what they do makes sense, but really until you understand their real goal here. The fee would also pay for programs to boost mining permits, clean up abandoned mine lands, and help states and tribal governments that provide infrastructure and services to mining-dependent communities, according to the report. But that's not really the goal. The U.S. stands out among other countries such as Australia, Canada, and Chile that collect royalties on minerals. At least a dozen Western states also collect royalties on hard rock mining. Although thoughtful concerns were raised by the mining industry regarding the existing hard rock leasing system that is used on certain federal lands, the working group did not receive any arguments as to why property or properly designed leasing systems could not be equally successful in the United States. Deputy Interior Secretary Tommy Boudreau, who chaired the working group, called the plan released Tuesday a modernized approach that would meet the needs of the clean energy economy. There you go. It's all about clean energy. It's all about the environment, which really can be translated to all about control. Because really, in a sense, there is absolutely no evidence other than computer models that the Earth is under a global warming caused by mankind. They've not been able to provide a single shred of evidence that that is occurring over the long course. Now, obviously, there are localized effects that man has caused on the climate, but that's local. In other words, heat islands that are in cities because of concrete and other things, those are warmer. And emissions that come from vehicles, that is obviously caused by man, but usually those are localized areas that have the smog, and that has been greatly reduced over the course of years. But otherwise, there's absolutely zero evidence of it. But yet, this is how they use the control because of ESG, and it all comes from government. And corporations are flocking to this, although BlackRock, as believe it or not, is moving away from it to a degree. So this approach is what they say about to meet obligations to tribal nations, taxpayers, the environment, and future generations. You know, it's government speak. Secure a safe, sustainable supply of critical minerals will support a resilient manufacturing base for technologies at the heart of the president's investing in the American agenda, including batteries, electric vehicles, wind turbines, and solar panels. Well, how are you going to get those things if you're going to be making it harder for companies to extract them out of the ground by forcing them to pay royalties? That makes no sense. But then again, that is the situation that we have with big central planners, and that they feel like they can just tax because a royalty is just one big fat tax. Tribes and environmental groups welcome the report, but urge President Joe Biden to go further to protect communities, sacred places, and water resources. The White House formed the working group last year as Biden pledged to boost production of lithium, nickel, and other minerals used to power electric vehicles and other clean energy. He's working against his own self-interest because all of these minerals, which, by the way, gold and silver are going to be the collateral damage to this for any mining that's occurred there. But think about copper, lithium, and nickel that is mined domestically here. You're going to make companies pay royalties on this. They're going to go out of business before long if you do this, or they just won't mine in federal lands, which again defeats the purpose. Because if you want to domestically produce, the last thing you want to do is you want to tax them. You know, they're providing tax incentives for consumers to buy electric vehicles, but no incentives for the manufacturers and no incentives for mining. Of course, mining these minerals is hard on the environment, the local environment for sure. So they are essentially, cutting their hand off, biting the hand that feeds them. It's just displacing the environmental pollution. When it's all said and done, that's exactly what's happening. They're displacing the pollution with electric vehicles and the like. And the demand is strong for these metals, especially these rare earths that are out there. And they will be affected as well too. These modern reforms are a good first step, but they're not enough to safeguard our water and communities, said Allison Henderson, Southern Rockies director of the Center for Biological Diversity and Arizona-based nonprofit. The Biden administration should use its full authority to update these antiquated mining laws, prevent more mining industry and devastation, and preserve a livable planet for future generations, which means that there will be no mining in those areas, and she wants the Biden administration to do an unconstitutional thing, which they've done before with the student loan thing, forgiveness, and displacing tax dollars from one area to another. And that's exactly what's going to happen here. Rich Nolan, president and CEO of the National Mining Association, said the report did little to advance Biden's stated goal to secure domestic mineral supplies while supporting responsible mining. Yeah, I guess that's putting it very mildly. Creation of a leasing system, imposition of a punitive dirt tax, and proposed royalties as high as 8% will throw additional obstacles in the way of responsible domestic projects, forcing the U.S. to double down on our already outsized import reliance from countries with questionable labor, safety, and environmental practices, according to Nolan. He's exactly right there. Wyoming Senator John Barrasso, the top Republican in the Senate Energy and Natural Resources panel, said Biden was taking a sledgehammer to affordable, reliable energy. If enacted, the proposed mining reforms will force us to buy more critical minerals from China and other countries that use forced or child labor instead of harnessing our abundant resources here at home. And he's right about that too. It's obvious. It's common sense. But they don't care about common sense. The Biden administration does not. And this is something that's going to eventually hurt gold and silver, as they are part of that. And we know silver is used in industry for sure. And so, very fascinating story here. Thought I'd share it with you as to what is being proposed here. Hopefully it won't happen anytime soon. But nonetheless, that is the story. And let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Hope you found this video informative, insightful, and educational. I would like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch, and to encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.